each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
And we're back. One of my regular listeners didn't catch it earlier, so I'm doing another one. That, and I'm just avoiding what I want to get done today. there's multiple reasons. Of course, my friend is camping. They may not be able to join. I was about 5 minutes late. 5 minutes late. I don't really anticipate too many people. Saturday is usually not the best time to go live. It's all right. I don't do things by popularity. Need my phone. Ooh, my tummy grumbly. Got a rumbly in my tumbly. All right, today we're going to be talking about the black sheep, the scapegoat. Gosh darn it. Okay, didn't do that. Okay, good. Okay, good. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday, getting your stuff done. Or maybe you're like me, where you're just kind of avoiding what you're doing. Actually, I don't even know what I want to do today. I don't feel like doing nothing. Because today I don't feel like doing anything. Boo-da-doop, boo-da-doop. I don't want to lay in my bed all day either. Nah, that doesn't say. I'll work on some stuff around the house is what I'll do. All the little stuff that didn't quite work yesterday, I'll just clear all that up. That's a good idea. All right. So, all right. Should we go ahead and get started? Looks like we got some people here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. Just making sure chat's working. Been a while since chat didn't work, but just double checking it. Okay. Nobody said anything yet. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm your host. I'm also the black sheep of my family. I'm the scapegoat. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching the live or the rewatch. I meant to get one other thing set up here. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. Let's just see if we can. Okay, this is what we're going to do. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to, see what I did is I just zoomed in on it. Hey, Heather. You still sitting on the front porch? You know, it's Saturday, though. Shouldn't we be doing that? Oh, I'm going to give my friend a little bit of a hard time here. Where are you? They don't have very good reception. So they don't have very good reception. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here real quick. We're going to cover the dysfunctional family. Okay. Now, here again is where alcoholism is a little different. I mean, there's extra studies that are done, right? And the whole family is dysfunctional to a certain extent. This is why I believe that we are born. I believe that I was born with this disease. That's what I believe. All right. Both my mother and my biological father were alcoholic. There were other alcoholics. A couple of my uncles were alcoholic. 1 in 10 people are alcoholic, right? But it seems to move from family to family. And there are some generational cycles that we can break. There are others we cannot break, but we can certainly help them get there quicker. So let's share the screen here. There you go. These are the 5 roles. No, don't go to Mind Hub talking, all right? Don't worry about that stuff at the bottom. We just need this right here. We need this picture, all right? So in the middle here, you see the chief enabler. Now, one person, and I'm sorry, the chief enabler is not one of the child roles. It is not. This would be the significant other. Okay. So it's the significant other, the codependent. Um, and the codependent learns these skills. See, the codependent right here, the chief enabler, was probably also either the lost child or they were the family hero growing up in their own family as a child. But they have this wrong. The chief enabler is the person that is married to the alcoholic. Notice the alcoholic's not in here. Okay. That's where then we have the firstborn, the family hero. Okay. Family hero, they take care. Look at all this stuff the family hero is doing. Now, you might be a couple of these. My older brother was the family hero. Now, he was a high achiever. He did follow the rules. He did seek approval, and he was responsible. But all that cooking and taking care of the family and stuff, yeah, my older brother didn't do that. I did that, and then eventually, I would turn into because I'm the second one. So this is usually the firstborn, the family hero. The secondborn is usually the alcoholic, the problem child, the scapegoat, the black sheep. That would be most of us. Most of us are the problem child, or there's one other person in here that has the possibility of becoming an alcoholic. Okay. But they are not next in line. Now, you can see he's very, I think his shirt even says the word fuck on it there. Good job. Right. You know, they're usually anarchists. They go against we usually tend to go against the grain. We are different. We do not mind speaking our minds. Right. Next is the third child. They're usually the mascot. I'm sorry. No, the third one's usually the last child. My bad. This would have been my sister. This would be my little sister. All right. She was very quiet, very meek as a child. So that has changed. She has found her boundaries, and she has grown way past this lost child. Good for my sister. Now my older brother, he still likes to play the family hero. Then we come to my youngest brother, the mascot. Okay. Even the other day, we were joking around in a text with my mother, and I made a joke, and he didn't like it because I was being funnier than him. Seriously, that it happened. Okay. This person also has a very good chance of becoming an alcoholic. Now that describes the dysfunctional family. Where where are you, Amber? You little shit. Okay. So now you kind of know what the dysfunctional family is a little bit. I go a lot more into that, but for the sake of argument, I just wanted you to know where you sat in the dysfunctional family. Now they do not have something like that for the other addictions. Okay. I'm gonna tell you my opinion, okay? Because I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but gosh, I have a ton of experience. Not everybody can be an alcoholic. You cannot become an alcoholic. You can it doesn't work that way. A person, let's say a person without alcoholic tendencies, because you could probably go back and take a look at your life and take a look at where you were. Why does it keep doing that? Where you take a look at it and see where you had alcoholic tendencies. You can see it, right? Good afternoon, Tyler. It's good to see you. Okay. It's not anybody can be an alcoholic. We are literally bodily and mentally different from our fellows. We are separated. This is where alcoholism is different. And I'm certainly not putting down other addictions. I'm not. What I'm saying is it's a little different. It's been my experience. And in this case, my experience is probably most likely correct. Okay. Now, anybody can be a drug addict. Drug addiction usually comes from trauma. Could be physical trauma, maybe a car accident. Could be emotional or mental trauma. Okay. And definitely, we're going to throw spiritual trauma in there. Maybe they grew up in a house where drugs were rampant. Maybe they grew up around a lot of gangs and things like who knows what it is. But anybody can become addicted to drugs, and this is kind of what separates things. All right, but what will happen is the people with these addictions will find themselves being scapegoated and black sheep and things like that. So it still does kind of apply. Right. But we need to understand these things so we know what direction is best for whomever we meet. Right. So I asked AI the same question. Well, what are the superpowers of the black sheep from an alcoholic family? That's what I asked it. The superpowers of the black sheep in an alcoholic family refer to the unique strengths and positive traits they develop as a result of surviving and adapting to a dysfunctional environment. While the experience is often painful and isolating, the black sheep's outsider status fosters resilience and independence. All right, I'm going to tell a quick story here. When I think it was 15, 16, right around there, we'll call it 15. I was on pass from the group home that I was currently in. I was over at my friend Mike's house, and we get a call. Hey, can you come over to the house? We got to talk to you about something. Of course, I have to say no. You're not in trouble, because I'm like, I didn't even fucking do anything this time. How am I in trouble? But I was always in trouble for something. Usually something that the older brother did and didn't want to get. Yeah, I took so much flack for that, dude. All right, so get over there. I'm on pass. All right. I'm like, this is my free time. Usually I'm in a group home having to deal with things. So anyway, and I wasn't doing any, this weekend I didn't get drunk or nothing. I usually did on pass. Why else would you go on pass? Yeah. I'd come back drunk. They wouldn't even know. I remember they took us bowling one time. My friends showed up, put a 12-pack of beer in the bathroom for me. And yeah, they didn't even notice I kept going to the bathroom. And I think my girlfriend was there too. And I left there. I was drunk. Nobody knew. Anyway, so they call us there, and they sit us all down. Me and the three other, my older brother, my younger brother, my younger sister, and they proceed to tell us how they are separating. Of course, you got to ease it in there. So they started with the separate, even though I already knew they were getting divorced, and I already kind of knew this because I had already figured out because my mom had gotten sober, but the man that she was married to didn't change. He stayed the same person, and I knew these two weren't going to stay together. They're sitting down, and then of course, now since we're a quote unquote healthy family, everybody has to go around and talk about how they feel, and my brothers and sisters were sad. Now I didn't even live there. And I really didn't have much love for this man by this point. We'd already kind of gone at it several times, and it came to me, and I said, you know, Mom went and got help. She became a better person. Wendell did nothing. Why would it work? You two are two different people. You don't even belong together. I never even knew why you were together. I think this is a great idea. You both deserve something better than each other. Can I go back to my friend Mike's house now? I'm on pass. The way I saw it, it was a disruption of my time. I'm like, why would I even care? Okay. Now is that a superpower? Only in the sense that I recognize something, but you hear how rude I was? They didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve me talking like that. Mm-mm. Now I saw this, and we see these things from far away, but we're the black sheep, so we're not afraid to say something. The problem is I'm an alcoholic, so therefore it's probably not going to come out in the best way. It is when the black sheep, the scapegoat, you know, gets into recovery and starts doing the right thing. That's when the changes make. Otherwise, I was destructive while still drinking. The scapegoat, it is impossible for them to make big positive changes in their life or anybody else's for that matter. But once we lay hold of the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous, it changes. I talk about this all the time. We are extraordinary people. Have you ever noticed your consequences are they're bigger than non-alcoholics? All of your consequences are bigger. There's more sustenance to them. Is because what you have gone through in your life. Yay, Amber made it. Woohoo! I kept sending you messages. I even sent you the link this time. Right? It's because you went through a lot of things. You went out and this is the thing about a scapegoat. They know exactly how dangerous they are and they pull it back. That's healthy. I know exactly how dangerous I am. And I'm very dangerous, especially when I'm in my cups. And I pull that back. Why do I pull that back? Because I love you. Because I love me. Because I understand that a full and thankful heart certainly brings a lot more fruitfulness to my life. Sure, it does. I see this. We're the people that will break generational curses. Anger. Self pity, manipulation, lying, cheating, stealing. An alcoholic's still going to do these things. Okay? I got to let you know this. If we're born with this disease, the one cycle you cannot break is alcoholism. It can't be done. Right? Now, all my children are sober. I have two children of my own, and I have two bonus children. They're all sober. None of them drink. Mm-mm. Right? And I think both my kids have the propensity for alcoholism. Right? But they watched what I did. So what did I do? I helped shorten the time. My mom did the same thing to me. It's called prevention. And I would say things like, you remember when dad was doing this and it didn't work out? You remember how you didn't like me when I was like this? Yeah, well, like, oh shit. Yeah, because I knew they grew up. I was an absentee father, so I knew they grew up saying, I'm never gonna be like my dad. I'm never gonna be like my dad. And good. And good. That's a good thing in this scenario. Now it's a little different, but they don't say that anymore. Now they don't go run around saying, I'm not going to be like dad. Now it's going to be, I'm not going to do what dad did. And good. That's a good thing. So we can shorten that by being good examples. It is possible to do. It's also probably going to be one of the hardest when it comes to family, man, it is harder. Okay. Even when I was in sales, I joined this company. They're like, go to your family first. I'm like bullshit. You have no idea. I would never tell people to go sell to their family first because you're going to do them a disservice. You're not even giving the whole pitch because they're going to buy from you. This is what we call low hanging fruit. Okay. And they just want the deals. They don't give a fuck about your family. They don't care that if they're going to be overcharged or something nefarious happens. They don't care. All right. So independence and self-reliance. Most alcoholics are what? We seem to be very independent, but we're not. Oh no, we have a lot. Let me rephrase that. I seemed very independent, but I was not. I had a deep dependency on other people. Yeah. And I kind of had to get rid of that. So, creating a new path. The black sheep who feels like they don't belong is often driven to find their own way in the world, distinct from their family expectation. This can lead to a deeper sense of self worth and a more fulfilling life. Yeah, feeling that you can take care of yourself. And that's why the program or doing this type of work can be exciting. I've seen people come in the program. They had so many problems, just a ton of problems. And a few months later, those problems seem to be gone, right? Because we like to make mountains out of molehills. And aside from the fact that, 65% of my problems didn't exist, I made them up in my head and I believed them. right? So we're creating a new path here. So you have more self-worth and a fulfilling life. Now let's go back to attraction rather than promotion. See? When we recover out loud without blowing anonymity, when we recover out loud without blowing anonymity, let's go back to remember the consequences are bigger for you. And not all consequences are bad. Choosing your own wolf pack. Wow. I never got to do that until I got sober and did the work again. Yeah. Not did the work again, but again, I'm repeating myself that I'd done the work. And I had a hard time searching. I had a hard time finding my pack. You know, it wasn't until about a year ago that started happening. It was a year ago about this time. I'm like, I got really, really frustrated because, and I'm not, the Zoom meetings in Colorado, I don't want to say that they're bad because I don't believe that there really is such a thing as a bad AA meeting if God is involved, but they weren't for me. I'll put it that way. I didn't seem to fit. I didn't seem to fit, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm not good because I was getting a little um started. I like starting meetings, but starting an in-person meeting seems almost impossible for me. So I started an online meeting, and the way that I started it was this. It was by invite only. I went back to how AA began. I'm like, well, if it worked for them, okay, and I invited about 20 people that I was close to that I think because I'm very good at matching people up. I'm like, all these people together, oh man, this will be a powerhouse meeting. Now about 5 stuck around, you know, but it developed into something else. And now I have my own home group. I started it. All right. Now I have a home group. It isn't Dion's AA meeting or anything like that. It's grassroots. It is separate. And we've done a great job. Because I had to find my pack. Tyler said, no job, no friends, no connection with my higher power. I have all those things now. Yeah. By being forced to look outside the family for connection and validation, black sheep often develop strong, meaningful bonds with chosen family. This network of friends can provide the unconditional love and support missing at home. Okay. Now, I grew up with brothers and sisters, but they did not grow up in the same household as me. Okay? I was treated differently because I acted different. I was different. You know, still isn't right to be treated differently. You know, even clothes. See, I got my brother's hand-me-downs because I'm 2 years younger than him. So I got my brother's hand-me-downs. So my older brother Scott, he always got new clothes. My younger brothers and sisters, they were too young. Not only that, but it was my sister next. My younger brother, he's like 5, 6 years younger than me. I think a little bit more than that. So they got new clothes. Even right down to that, I never got my own clothes. Yeah. I always got the hand-me-downs. I always got whatever was second best. All right. Breaking generational cycles is a big one. With their perspective as an outsider, the black sheep is often the first to recognize and reject dysfunctional patterns of their family. They become the catalyst for healing by choosing not to replicate the same destructive behaviors in their own life. All right. I'll get to that, Heather. I will get to that. All right. We are catalysts. Here we are again. Extraordinary. Bigger consequences. What is a catalyst? A catalyst is something that makes something else happen quicker. Right? If you put if you put gasoline on a fire, your wood's going to burn faster. That is a catalyst. Okay? And you can help heal people quicker just because of what you've been through. Heather says, I'm still treated different. I moved out at 15. Now, remember earlier I told that story about the divorce. What did I say? I said I knew this was going to happen because my mom changed, but her husband did not. He wanted to continue living in dysfunction. He's a codependent with a very bad anger problem. Well, he used to. I don't know anymore. I haven't seen him in a long time, so can't assume he still has his anger problem. People can change, right? See, Heather, you changed. They didn't. Just because you changed doesn't mean that those same people are going to treat you differently. That's all what it means. Because they're still stuck in their own dysfunction. Otherwise, who are they going to blame their shit on? Because they don't want to take accountability for their own actions. That's part of the dysfunction of the family. Nobody takes accountability. But when the black sheep starts taking accountability, then everybody wants to dump all of that on them. They continue to need somebody to blame so they can feel better about themselves. It's called low self-esteem. And it's a game. It is a dysfunction. So heightened awareness and emotional intelligence, intuition, and truth seeking. We're truth seekers. Not all of us, but most of us are. Now, here again, there's qualifications. You had to have done the work before this stuff happens. Because until we get honest with ourselves, the truth is out of our reach. So we're talking about the black sheep who have done the work, have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind, and have completed the 12 steps or whatever program you're in, whatever you complete. But it's the same process. There's a process to it. We figured out the process. The process works. Not everybody wants to do the work. That's on them, right? So growing up with inconsistency and manipulation, the black sheep develops a keen ability to see through deception, right? So what is this? You're a bullshit detector. You know bullshit when you hear it. It just does. Somebody say something. It just doesn't quite sit right in your stomach. I've listened to some speakers, and they said something. This one guy said that he played the drums at the White House in this one band, and I knew who this band was, and I know, and I'm familiar with this guy. I went and looked up. No, it didn't happen. He was lying. Did not happen. That band did play for the White House, but he wasn't a part of the band at that time. Aha. We're storytellers, all right? So we know when people are embellishing. Certainly we do. Yeah. Well, when you get to AA, there are two things that die: bullshit and loneliness. All right. Empathy for outsiders. Under knowing, yeah. So you're probably like me. Probably like the strange, the odd people. I like people that are just a little off. Keeps me entertained. Right? Their experience of being different gives them a unique sensitivity towards others who feel ostracized or misunderstood. This can make them fierce advocates for the marginalized. That's something I do quite often. I advocate a lot. I advocate a lot. I did it this week. I'm like the Red Foreman of recovery. I tend to put my foot up people's butts. I'm not worried about what they're going to think of me in this situation. I do not. These people aren't my friends. They're professionals. I'm trying to get something done. Anyway, doesn't matter. Heather says, very obvious spending time here at my sister's. See the same patterns. I grew up with my sister's interactions with her children, but I'm considered the bad guy. Oh, that's your job. Here's another thing black sheep do. Sometimes I put my foot forward in my family knowing they're going to step on it, but it creates a little bit of healing, and I'm willing to do that. Black sheep do that too. Okay. And it does hurt when your family considers you the bad guy. So we got to work through this. The next one is very good for that boundary setting. They're going to try and push your buttons. Don't react. Just don't react. You know, my family loves the snide comments. Not my whole family, just a couple. Yeah, my brothers. My sister's not like that. My brothers, they get a little snide. They think I don't see it. They think they're smarter than me. That's why. They think they're like highly intelligent and a lot smarter than me, and that I'm not going to catch it because, well, Dion didn't even go to high school, and I didn't. I got my GED. I graduated before everybody in my class did, in the 97th percentile. I'm actually very, very smart, and I catch it. I just don't say anything. I don't need to. I was saying earlier that, I made a joke. Okay, but then that's because I have healthy boundaries now. And I said nothing. I didn't need to say anything. Okay. Because it was about my mom's surgery, and that was the focus. But since my little brother's the mascot, he doesn't like when people make better jokes than him. As a defense mechanism against manipulation and emotional abuse, this boundary setting, the black sheep learns to establish and enforce strong personal boundaries. The skill is crucial for protecting their emotional well being as a powerful tool in their future relationships. Now, we're going to go over a few things here. These are some of the things that tend to frustrate those people around me that don't want to. I don't hang out with people that don't want to become better. I just don't. I don't have time. I'm a little bit older, a little bit grumpier than I used to be. Actually, I'm not. I'm not even close to grumpy. But I was trying to make a joke. It didn't work. So motivation for self-improvement. The pain of rejection can be a powerful motivator. The black sheep may channel their adversity into productive goals, such as pursuing a higher education or other ambitions as a way of proving their worth to themselves. Here's the big one. Let's save that. Emotional regulation skills. This is not the big one. We're going to do it last. All right. You're regulating your emotions a little bit better. Now, this is going to be noticed. Some of your family may even turn around and say, hey, what's going on with you? Maybe you can just leave an Al-Anon book sitting around or an ACA book for your brothers and sisters. Leave an ACA book. Says for adult children of alcoholics, they work with trauma, whereas Al-Anon does not do that. They'll send you to a professional. But ACA, they deal with trauma, right? So let them, you have to get to a point where you just got to let them be who they are, which can be pretty hard if they're trying to push their buttons. Right? You can always leave. Nobody's stopping you. Here's the big one: courage and authenticity. See, when you become who you actually are, people will find it very hard to give you a hard time because you're being authentic. And it's hard to make fun of somebody being authentic. Somebody tells a joke that was just mean. Oh, it's just a joke. Oh, well, okay. Explain the joke to me because I clearly don't get it. What's the funny part in this? Can you fill me in? And then you watch them go backwards. Well, yeah, okay, yeah. So it wasn't funny. It wasn't a joke. Oh, okay. And leave it at that. Right. Amber says, I left a big book by the Bible at the cabin. Good job, Amber. Courage and authenticity. Being the family outcast can force a person to be true to themselves, even in the face of disapproval. This struggle fosters a courageous spirit and a deep commitment to living an authentic life. Okay. Let's talk about those people that look for nothing bad in the world or look for nothing bad. There are going to be people in your life, including family, that just don't want to think of anything good about you. They will look for the bad things in you. And I tell you now, if you look for the bad things in me, you're going to find them. Why? Because I am human. And it's everybody makes mistakes. All right. So what do? Well, I don't allow them access. Yeah. Yeah, you think all of my family, I'm friends with every single family member on Facebook? No. Nope. You're gonna have to earn getting into that area. It's a boundary. You know? They all got my phone number. My phone rings. All right. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm glad Amber was able to make it because I did this one because she didn't catch the earlier one. And I was wasting time. So no, I was just filling up space for the day. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.